Today's video is going to be extremely casual, as we can tell by the look going on here right now. I know that it is sorority recruitment season. I think some schools had sorority recruitment this past weekend, and a lot of schools are going to be upcoming either this weekend or the next. So I wanted to get this video up and kind of talk to you guys about my sorority experience. And I found a Sorority Girl tag on YouTube, so I'm just going to kind of go and answer all of those questions and kind of throw in some of my experience along with those answers. And of course, if you guys have any sorority related questions for me, you can absolutely leave those in the comments below. I would love to answer your questions. Also, if you're just kind of stumbling upon this video and you're not subscribed to my channel, please go ahead and subscribe. And I will say, by the way, I graduated college a couple of years ago, so I'm no longer like actively in a sorority. Let's just go ahead and dive into the first question, which is, what is the name of your sorority? The sorority I was and am a part of is Zeta Tau Alpha, goes by Zeta or ZTA. I'm actually wearing a Zeta shirt today. I was gonna get all cute for this video, and then I was like, I mean, in college I pretty much wore Zeta shirts and Nike shorts like every day of the week, so why not just go with the sorority uniform? What is your sorority's hand sign is the next question, and this was our hand sign. Basically, you take your hands and you make two little loops and connect them and connect the tips, and it's a 5-pointed crown like so. And if you like know nothing about sororities and you're like, what the heck is this girl doing? Yes, sororities have like little gang signs that we use. It's just a thing. Number 3, did you always want to rush a sorority? This question for me is definitely a no. I actually went to boarding school in Scotland for high school. So in the UK, to my knowledge, they don't really do the sorority fraternity thing. Definitely not as big of a deal as it is here in the US. So when I came back to Texas for college, it was just kind of like when I was applying to schools, one of my mom's friends suggested it. She was like, Daniela, you should definitely rush a sorority. I think you would love it. So I just kind of took her advice and rushed a sorority. But no, I'm not a legacy or anything like that. It's not something that I like knew all my life that I was gonna rush. Question number 4, what was recruitment like for you? Recruitment was very overwhelming. So I don't know if all schools do recruitment the same way, but the way it was done at my school, I went to Texas State University, and the way it was done at Texas State is you had to visit all of the sorority houses on the first day. So for me, that was actually a huge benefit because you got to kind of see what all of the sororities were like and what everyone was about. If you're like a legacy and you know for sure you want to be in a certain sorority, I could see that being kind of annoying because you're like, okay, I don't want to go to these houses, I just want to get this over with. It was like a, I guess, was it a 4 or 5 day process? No. Yeah, it was a 5-day process. The first day, I went to all the different houses, and at the time there were 6 sororities at Texas State. I want to say that there's 7 now, but I'm not sure. But so I went to all 6 sorority houses. It was a Friday. We were all held like in an auditorium, everyone that was rushing, which was like 300 plus girls. And we were kind of split into groups based off of what your last name was and where that is in the alphabet. So I was in a group of maybe like 15 girls. It was called a Rho Gamma group. With those girls, we kind of traveled around to the different sorority houses. Zeta was actually my very first sorority house that I went to on that day. And I knew the minute I walked in, I just absolutely loved it. Second day, you come back to the auditorium, you get a little piece of paper, and it shows you which houses have called you back. Rush is kind of like a mutual situation. Like you pick what houses you want to go to, and then they pick if they want you back or not. So I forgot to mention, at the end of the first night and at the end of every single night of Rush, we had to go and kind of vote for like our top, or like rank the houses that we went to. So I obviously ranked Zeta number 1, and then I had like my other choices. And then I got back the next day and you're like super nervous because you're like, oh my God, I hope that the house I liked wants me back. And you open your little piece of paper, which is actually like a schedule showing you which houses you're gonna go to at which times that day. So day 1 is like the rush day, which is pretty casual. You just kind of get to know about the house and kind of like feel the different sororities out. The second day, you learn a little bit more in depth about the sororities' philanthropies. So every single sorority has like a different philanthropy that they're associated with. For Zeta, they're associated with Susan G. Komen, Race for the Cure, breast cancer awareness. So it was like all very pink. It was like a think pink kind of day. Yeah, the other houses I went to, I also learned all about their philanthropies as well. So it was kind of a little bit more educational and also kind of emotional as well, because some of the girls that are part of the sorority have really like personal ties to the philanthropy. So like at Zeta, we had several girls that were talking about family members or friends who had breast cancer. So kind of an emotional day, a little bit deeper than day 1. And then day 3 was kind of like the skit night. So all of the different sororities put on like a little skit or like a little play where they just kind of showed their personality and showed their true colors a little bit more. And then day 4 was pref night or preference night. That was a lot more formal. It's basically the last night of recruitment. So you only go to your top 2 houses. It's basically down to those 2 houses. It's much more personal. It's much more formal. Everyone wears like black. Yeah. And then the last day is bid day. And that's when you find out what sorority you got a bid from. And at Texas State, you could only get 1 bid from 1 sorority. So it was basically like make or break, like you either want that bid or you don't. But I would say overall, yes, recruitment was extremely overwhelming. I had no idea what to expect. When I got there and saw like the crazy things that girls were doing, which by the way includes like singing and dancing and clapping and screaming, and it's just like very intense, especially in the South. I think it's like a very intense experience. So just be prepared for that. Okay, question number 5, I already kind of answered this. It said, when did you know you found the right house? And like I said, Zeta was the very first house that I walked into on the very first day. And it was the atmosphere and the girls that I saw in the house. I just knew that was the house I wanted to be a part of. First of all, the house itself was the largest house on the Texas State campus. It's an extremely impressive house. You walk up to it and you're like, oh my gosh. And then like all of the girls were so beautiful, and I just really connected with the girls that I was talking to there. I loved the philanthropy. I loved, you know, how breast cancer awareness is such a huge deal. I wanted to be a part of that. It was really just a feeling. And I know that's like really frustrating for some people, but it is. It's just like a feeling that you get, just like when you're dating someone or when you're picking a college. Like, it's just a feeling that you get being in that environment around those people where you feel comfortable and you feel like this is where I want to be. These are the girls I want to be surrounded by. So I just knew. Number 6, what is your favorite sorority related memory? There's so many, to be honest with you. There's like so many memories that are great for different reasons. Like obviously I loved going to like the date parties, and I would say I honestly love looking back on recruitment when I was in the sorority. So not like recruitment when you're pledging and when you're picking your sorority, that's kind of stressful. But when you're already in the sorority, so like your sophomore year, your junior year, your senior year, when you're in the sorority and you're trying to recruit other girls, that side of Rush it's crazy and amazing, and it's also very intense. I kind of had a love-hate relationship with it, but when I look back on like being in my sorority, those are kind of the moments that I think about, just because they're so intense. Like what I mean by intense is like you get to the sorority house at like 7 o'clock in the morning and you leave at like midnight or 1 a.m. Like it's an all-day event. You know, you've got rounds and rounds and rounds, meeting different girls. It's just like a whirlwind, and it's so much fun. And that's when you really get to bond with like everyone in your sorority, even people that you don't necessarily hang out with on the day-to-day. Everyone comes together during Rush, and that Rush is just like an awesome memory. Number 7, what is your favorite gift from your big? And my big probably won't watch this, but if you do, then hey Lindsay, thank you for all of the gifts that you gave me. My favorite gift from my big, and this is kind of cheesy and classic and everyone gets this, but I loved getting my pillow, my Zeta pillow. I don't know where it is right now. I want to say it's at my mom's house, but it's like a tradition, or it was for our sorority, that like the bigs gave their littles pillows that were like monogrammed with the letters. I can probably insert a picture of my pillow somewhere, or someone's pillow, so you know what I'm talking about. And then the littles give their bigs paddles. But yes, I loved my Zeta pillow. I had it on my bed like all throughout college. It's just so freaking cute. Number 8, is sisterhood a real thing? I would say yes. I found some really truly awesome friends in my sorority, girls that I don't think I probably ever would have met if I hadn't rushed or been in Zeta. One of my absolute best friends, I lived in the house with her. I met her through recruitment. She was my pledge sister. She was my roommate. I'm now going to be her bridesmaid. So I absolutely think that, you know, it's a true thing, and that you can really find true like sisters or friends that you will have for the rest of your life. Obviously, when you're in a sorority, like the size of the sororities at Texas State ranged from like 80 to 150 girls. So when you have that many girls in the same group at the same time, obviously there can be a little bit of cattiness here or there. Not every single person gets along with everyone. That's just to be expected. But I think that there is kind of a true bond deep down. Like if I ever saw anyone that was in my sorority on the street or like in a store or like out at night, I would always say hello. It's just kind of like a connection that you have with these people because you went through so many similar experiences together. So I would have to say yes, I think sisterhood is a real thing. Next question is, what is the time commitment like for your chapter? And I feel like it all kind of depends on how much you want to put into it. So I will say up front, like I was talking about earlier, the time commitment during rush or during recruitment is huge. You're literally giving all of your time away for like 2 or 3 weeks, especially during the week of rush. But we had 2 weeks of like work week prior to rush, which started even before school started. We would all go and like practice all of our recruitment stuff. There are events that are like mandatory for you to attend. So here or there, like on weeknights or weekends, there's things that you absolutely must go to. The way our chapter worked was like when you were a freshman, you had to go to a lot of stuff. And then as you progressed in seniority, you had less requirements kind of. But then what I was saying earlier, like it kind of depends on what you put into it. What I mean by that is basically you can choose to like hold a position within your sorority. So like, let's say if you're the president, you're gonna have a much larger time commitment than someone who's just a member who's not really involved in anything. So there's like the executive council who was like the president, the vice president, like the recruitment chair, like the main people, and they had a huge time commitment, I think, and really put in a lot of hours. Then there's like a program council, which was like, 30 other girls who, I was actually like briefly on the program council as the homecoming and Greek week chair. So there's just like a little bit of extra time commitment there. But I think it's not like, it's not fun. I think for me, I didn't have a job outside of college. I was a full-time student and I was in Zeta and that was it. So for me, it was like perfect. I think if you had, a part-time job that you were trying to balance as well, you might have to be a little bit more conscious of the time that you're putting in. But for me, most of the things I had to go to were pretty fun to go to anyway. It would be like you have to go to a basketball game or you have to go to like, flag football game, or what are some of the other things we had to go to? Like meetings, we had a weekly meeting every single week. Just little things like that. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. Number 10, what were you most surprised about for your sorority? I don't know. I feel like this is kind of a tough one. I would say one of the first things that came to mind is when you're going through recruitment and when you're rushing a sorority, there's a lot of talk about hazing. And I really expected to get hazed. If you don't know what hazing is, just Google it. I really thought there was going to be a lot of hazing, and I was surprised that we were not hazed at all. Number 11, do you plan on living in the house? This is obviously for someone who like hasn't already lived in the house or hasn't already graduated, but I did live in my sorority house. It was definitely strongly encouraged that we live in the house at least 1 year, and for most girls that was their junior year. So I lived in the house my junior year. I did have a roommate, like I said, Ashley, she's one of my best friends. But yeah, living in the house was a really fun experience, and if you're in a sorority and you're thinking about living in the house, I would strongly recommend it. I really loved living in our house. We had a huge house. We had 30 girls living in it at the time that I lived there. We had like chefs that cooked like breakfast, lunch, and dinner for us. It was a really, really fun experience. I loved living in the house. Again, it was kind of a love-hate relationship because there's really no like privacy living in the house, but I could kind of get away and stay at my boyfriend's house when I really wanted to, so it wasn't that big of a deal for me. But yes, I did live in the house. Number 12, what was your favorite exchange, invite, date, party theme? My favorite date party theme? I'm trying to think. I know we had a mixer. It wasn't a date party. Basically, the difference between a date party and a mixer is with a date party, you can invite a date, whoever they are. They don't have to be in a fraternity or anything. For a mixer, it's like your sorority mixes with a fraternity or another sorority, and it's like only people from those fraternities and sororities can attend. So we had a mixer 1 year that was a Woodstock mixer, and I loved that theme. I love like hippie, anything, tie-dye, whatever, peace signs. That was really fun for me, and that was just a really fun mixer in general. My formal of my senior year, we did like a 20s, or like, I think it was like a Roaring 20s or like a Great Gatsby inspired kind of deal, and I really liked that too. So those are my favorite themes. Number 13, what is your favorite thing about your philanthropy? I think my favorite thing about my philanthropy was doing Race for the Cure all 4 years. It was a really great experience. Obviously, you know, breast cancer awareness is a huge deal, as I mentioned earlier, and I really liked just the reach of that philanthropy. Like, I think 1 in 5 women has been affected by breast cancer in some way, meaning they like know someone who has it or they've had it themselves. So just the fact that it reaches such a large audience, and they've got some like huge sponsors, like it's partnered with the NFL and partnered with YoPlay and partnered with Self Magazine. It was just like a big philanthropy, and the experience of doing Race for the Cure all 4 years was amazing. They usually did it during Moms Weekend, so all of our moms would come and we would like do Race for the Cure with our moms. So that was really nice as well. And I mean, what's not to like about our philanthropy, right? Question 14 is hilarious. How many items of clothes do you have related to your sorority? Hundreds. I'm not kidding. Hundreds. Number 15, what is the best part about being in a sorority? I think the best part about being in a sorority is honestly just the social interaction that you get from it. Like, I didn't know that many people when I went to my school, when I went to Texas State, and you just get exposed to so many people that way. Like, just the fact that you're in a sorority, like guys in fraternities want to talk to you, you make friends automatically. I mean, some people are like, you buy your friends, but you really don't. Like, you're friends with the girls that you want to be friends with. Those are the people who become your friends for life. And yeah, I think that's one of my favorite things about my sorority is I really met like some awesome lifelong friends who I just love through my sorority. The memories that I made, like I said, during recruitment and just doing stuff that I never would have had the opportunity to do had it not been for a sorority. The whole experience was so amazing. It's hard to just say like, this was my one favorite thing. I loved it. And I can't say I loved every minute of it. There were times when it was tough, and there were times when I got in trouble, and there were times when things happened, but overall, it was like the best thing of my college career. I don't know what college would have been like had I not rushed. It was so amazing, and it was such a huge part of my college experience that I just can't recommend it enough. I think that's gonna be it for this video. I feel like it's been a long one. Like I said at the beginning, if you have any questions about sorority life or about my experience that I didn't answer, you can definitely ask me in the comments below. Subscribe to my channel if you have not subscribed already, and let me know if you want to see more sorority related videos. This was just kind of like a tag video to start things off and give me like a topic of things to talk about. And if you want more updates from me, then go ahead and follow me on Instagram. It's just at Daniela June. Also on Snapchat, because I snap all the time. It's Daniela.June. Please also thumbs up this video if you did enjoy it, and if you want to see more sorority related videos from me, give me a thumbs up so that I know that you want to see them. And that's going to be it, you guys. I will see you all in my next video.